All right. So I had to go back to the phone to take and do the Facebook Live this way, and I'm doing a dual stream, taking a streaming live on Twitch at the same time. So this ought to be fun. I hope everybody likes the title for this show. Trump separates kids from parents. It's all the rage in the news these days. I mean, oh my God, he's such an evil person. How could he do this? How could he do this? Well, it started before him. It's been going on longer than Trump. Um, like 2014, people were reporting on this stuff. But the media don't want you to take a note of that. They want to pin it all on Trump, and it's another way that they can spin it as he's an evil human being. Um, God forbid anything is good other than Fox News, and even they have their haters taking say anything about the president. Now he does have his faults. He's but a lot of that's baked into him. You know, right? It's like I said a couple days ago. All they have is spin. All they have is spin. So let me go ahead and tell you the reason why they're a little bit crazy. 2014, a Judicial Watch took and come across the documents, and no, is this the one? No, this is the FISA. Anyways, I've got it somewhere. Somewhere I've got it. But Judicial Watch got 224 pages containing over 1,000 severe incident reports from Department of Homeland Security for the year of 2014. In the year 2014, unaccompanied alien children processed during the Obama administration included admitted murderers, rapists, drug smugglers, prostitutes, and human traffickers. Uh, and what Judicial Watch released, not including what's in the report, just in a 6 month span, they had 1,000 of these severe incident reports. In 2014 alone, there were 24,680 significant incident reports filed with the Office of Refugee Resettlement. This is just the people coming across the border. This isn't people coming from like Africa or India or anywhere else like that. This is just at the border. 24,680 unaccompanied minors. That means parents who sent their kids via smugglers, traffickers, things of that nature. 2014. This isn't 2018 that this stuff's happened. This is not 2017. This is just 2014 that this report covers. That's it. 2014. So you let that sink in. All the media is crying, "Oh my God, he's such an evil person. We've got to take and do this. We've got to take and do that. Oh my God, oh my God." It's a smoke screen. All it is a smoke screen. Some of the incidents contained within this report include a male UAC identified that he admitted he was forced to kill while working for the Gulf Cartel. Look, I understand things are hard in other nations. I understand it's hard south of the border with the way the drug cartels run, but that is the fault of the government and the people for not standing up for themselves. Largely, is a very corrupt system down there. I hate, I hate to think that we would ever have to take and deal with something like that in this nation. I really do. If we were to take and run to Canada, we're not going to be allowed in. If we get caught inside Canada illegally, we're getting locked up. It's as simple as that, and we're getting deported after we serve our you know 3, 4, 5, 6 months term that we're supposed to take and spend before we get our case gets completely processed. And that's another thing. Our justice system, just for immigration alone, needs at least 800 more federal judges to take and deal with the immigration problem, so that they can process these cases quick and get them out. A male UAC at Heartland International RC reported he had been MS-13 for a year before coming to the U.S. MS-13 is the same gang that Trump has taken fire for calling animals. He's right. They're animals. bleeding hearts just they want to take and twist the words and oh my God, he called people that are immigrants or illegals. He called them animals. No, he's referring to MS-13. MS-13 is a gang that will cut your head off with machetes if you take and do something that they think harms or takes and disrespects their culture. You try to take and leave their gang. There's no leaving that gang, not safely. You will die. And they've got people all across this country now. It started in Los Angeles amongst Central American and Mexican immigrants as a way to defend themselves and take and have some notoriety for themselves in uh, Central LA. A male UAC housed at the Kids Peace Shelter in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, told another male UAC, "I am a rapist. I'm going to rape you." They had to take and move that kid. They had to take and move him. These this might not be the greater picture of who's coming into this nation whenever they're unaccompanied or whenever human traffickers try to bring them in or even whenever parents try to bring them in. But this is the reason why we have immigration laws. This kind of stuff right here is the reason why we have immigration laws. A male UAC at a Baptist child facility shelter in Bayton, Texas, said he worked as a human smuggler, charging $6,000 to $8,000 per person across the border. I don't care if he's 13, 14, 15. Number one, you got to respect the hustle. But number two, that's what our government is dealing with. You've got kids that are working as smugglers, taking and bringing in other human beings. But no, we don't have a problem or anything like that. We should just have open borders, right? You know. A female UAC at PJ Shelter in San Antonio reported that another female UAC attempted to molest her and four others, trying to put her hand between their legs. A female UAC at Shiloh RTC reported the person she entered with was not her grandmother, but had brought her by way of Honduras to be a prostitute. And see, that's the other thing. Whenever the U.S. takes and separates the children from the adults that they come in with, number two, they do it until they can verify that the child belongs to the people bringing them in, and they're actually their parent, and that they're not traffickers bringing them in for purposes of prostitution or just as a cover to take and bring other people into the country. That's part of what our border agents take and deal with. You can take and go to YouTube and you can bring up video of CNN. They took an interview to border agent. He said this is not new. This none of this is new. He said we've got mothers taking and sending their daughters alone, and whenever they sending them alone, they're sending them with morning after pills because rape is part of the journey. That's their words. Rape is part of the journey. But yet, my heart goes out to these kids just for the simple fact of what they have to go through in life. Number one, being down there, but number two, what they're subjected to just try to take and get to a better life if they're not part of a gang, or if they're, if they are taking and coming with their parents, because a lot of times that stuff probably happens even with the parents there, because normally it's more than one or two coyote, which is the term for the coyote is it's the term for the human smugglers that take and bring people across the American border down at Mexico. This is stuff they don't take and even they don't want people to take and think of whenever they take and go, oh my God, they're separating kids from their parents. Trump is a monster. No, he's taking and enforcing our immigration laws. Same way, Obama, his second year in office, he had took and deported 3 times the amount of people that had been deported under George Bush in his entire 8 years. And guess what? This stuff was happening then. None of this is a surprise to anybody who's been paying attention. This might be for those who've seen this and are like, oh, that sucks. That sucks. I hear people, saying it's been going on for. This is just a smattering of what's happening. This is just a smattering. This is just from 2014 by itself. This is the first time I saw personally. This is the first time I personally saw. That's the first time I personally saw reports of the humanitarian crisis, because technically that is what it is. But it's our government that set this up. Number one, it's the Democrats for not wanting to enforce the laws, and number two, from allowing basically everybody to try to come in while people are still trying to do their jobs that constitutionally they're hired to do. A female UAC was given an abortion October 14th, 2014. The pregnancy was as a result of rape during her journey. That stuff like that will break your heart, but that's the stuff they're not reporting on. That's the kind of stuff that the media is not going to take and tell you because they want you to believe their lies. They want you to believe that they know all, that they hold the golden key to all the truth in this country, and it's bullshit. It simply is. Excuse the language, but it is complete crap. They're pushing an agenda. This is just from this year alone. This is numbers from the Department of Homeland Security from this year alone. Through the end of May 2018, Department of Homeland Security reveals they confiscated over 360,000 tons of drugs and arrested several thousand criminals and gang members. They received 360,241 pounds of marijuana, 7,205 pounds of meth, 5,321 pounds of cocaine, 315 pounds of heroin, and 309 pounds of fentanyl. Fentanyl is another thing that right now in our nation is very much an epidemic to take and go along with the opioid crisis, but it's 10 times more lethal and more potent than what heroin is. This is stuff they, up to May of this year, from January to May of this year, this is what they've recovered. They've encountered 18,568 criminals and 509 gang members. Majority of those are MS-13 gang members. A few days ago, they apprehended a Honduras man convicted of raping a child trying to re-enter the country. In the last 5 months alone, Border Control and Customs have seen a 314% increase in adults and children arriving at the border. Think about that. This stuff blew up just a couple months ago. Since the time of that blowing up towards the beginning of this year until now, or until May, 314% increase in the number of children and adults arriving at the border. We have a limited number of border agents to begin with. Democrats are still going, oh, they're all monsters. Trump administration is monsters. How could they take and do this? How could they take and do this? And this is the stuff that our border agents, our men and women that are hired to take they're hired to take and protect our border. This is what they're dealing with. This is the kind of stuff that you're not hearing in the news. You're not going to hear it in the news. Even for the most part, you won't hear a lot of this on Fox. During the Obama administration, they served as a buffer to the propaganda that was put out by CNN, MSNBC, and other places that were, journalistic in nature. But just these incidents from 2014, and just, let's see, July 28, 2018. 2014. That's 3 years ago that this stuff has been happening. Oh no, excuse me, almost 4 years ago, some of it. So this stuff has been going on, and the left news media didn't take a report on none of this. They're not going to. What purpose did it serve them to take a report that there were over 20,000 kids that were taken and that come into this country that were taken and put in these concentration camps, which is the biggest. They do that for fear factor. They do that for fear factor, and that's the only reason why they do it. I'd like the Democrats to remember that FDR, as a president, took and put people in camps together in this country that were citizens. These people aren't even citizens. Just remember that, Democrats. These aren't concentration camps. I have yet to take and read any story of kids being led into gas chambers and gassed to death and then buried en masse in burial grounds. So, yeah, CNN has kind of boiled over since the 90s. They've kind of went completely cuckoo stupid. Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. The Trump administration contention that the crisis at the border includes murderers, rapists, and smugglers, and human traffickers is backed up by the 2014 report that the DHS has released to Judicial Watch. So whenever the left was like, "Oh, he's crazy. Oh, he's trying to take into," no, he was right. He was right on that account, because that's what's happening in this country. And just the Department of Homeland Security this year, just what they found this year, and I have taken it down, but just this year, that's what our border agents are dealing with. But they would have you believe that they're just taking and willy-nilly taking and separating parents and children. Well, whenever you have an open border policy, this is the result of that. This is the result of that. Just so you can take and have a few more votes. This is the result of that. And now you're trying to take and spin it. This is the reason why the Democrats will not take and win the November midterm elections at all. In other news, and I could go on and on about that, but you know what? There's no point, because it's just more examples of media bias that we've 2008 we took in, or from 2008 until 2000 no, 2000 since Obama, we've took and dealt with 8 years of propaganda. First it was pro Obama and he's the savior, and now it's Trump as the devil. It's a propaganda machine. In other news, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg's a little bit lighter in the pockets. $16 billion in one day. Holy hell, that's a lot of money to lose. Nobody's really crying because, they kind of brought this on themselves with selling people's data and personal information and things of that nature. Of course, that being said, whenever you use social media, you've got certain safeguards you try to take for yourself, but you should remember that it is social media, so you kind of take your own security into your own hands whenever you join these things. But the fact they lost 16 billion, I think, really shows just how people were dissatisfied, and they've lost a little bit of a little bit of revenue, and their user base is not growing as expected. But it's been around for how long now? And a lot of people have started to move to Instagram and Twitter and things of that nature. So Snapchat, so kind of like what happened with MySpace when Facebook came along. Everybody migrated from MySpace to Facebook. Everybody. So, but 16 billion, that's still a heavy hit for anybody. And the crazy news that we've got going on in this country, Seattle and many towns across California have decided that they're not going to take it no more. To hell with plastic straws. Yes, they're doing bans on plastic straws. In some cases, that if you violate these laws, there's fines and jail time attached. Who knew that, that their legislators, tool for snorting all the coke, because that's the only way they can be this retarded, would take and get penalized. It really asks a bigger question of, what's going to happen to the people with stuff like cerebral palsy and ALS. This becomes kind of an issue, because if they carry around metal ones or even the paper ones, they might not, with the paper ones, yeah, they take and work, but they might not be able to, I don't know how they take and drink it, or drink liquids, or even a lot of times they use it for the meals. How well a paper straw is going to take and hold up. Metal, it becomes more of an issue of self-preservation, because it can take and hit their mouth, and take and hurt them. So this is kind of short-sighted on the part of their legislators. They're completely cuckoo crazy. So unless a customer asks for it, if you take and give somebody a plastic straw with their meal, you could face jail time. Of all the things in the world, you could face jail time over plastic straws. Who knew? Who knew? Which, kind of lends itself to the question: what's going to happen with all the plastic cups that are served with these Big Mac meals, and the Slurpees, and the McCafes, and the Starbucks drinks, and everything else that comes with that plastic straw, normally that's made of plastic. And that, And you might ask yourself, what think tank, what scientific think tank come across and was like, oh my God, this is a problem. We have to do something about it. Yeah, no, it's a 9-year-old. Um, Milo Karis, Milo Kress took and cold called a bunch of straw manufacturers to take and get these numbers. 500 million straws a year find their way, plastic straws a year find their way to the ocean, where it harms marine life. Well, you might want to take and call all the people that make the plastic cups for McDonald's, for Sunoco, for, I don't know, In-N-Out Burger, and all these other places that take and serve, a lot of times with large drinks, even sometimes a lot of times with smaller drinks, and Starbucks. Exactly how many of their plastic cups find their way into the ocean every year and harm our marine animals? Because heaven forbid that sea turtle try to snort coke. I don't know. I got nothing, but I just find it ridiculous that they're basically criminalizing straws. Especially places like San Francisco where people shoot up and poop on the street. Like literally every day, poop and shoot up on the street, and the town is starting to smell of defecation. And this is what you're going after. Plastic straws. Keep on, Democrats! Ha ha! Bill de Blasio is committed to opening 4 supervised injection facilities where users can shoot up under medical supervision. The sites are slated to open at medical or at needle exchange centers. Number one, this has all kind of issues related to it. Number one, we are encouraging basically the continued use of hard narcotics, heroin, and opioids. You're encouraging it by opening these places. You're encouraging it by taking and giving them the needle exchange stations. Yes, I understand. We are in an epidemic. We have an epidemic going right now. But part of the epidemic is due to the fact that the U.S. government has subsidized and taken and given billions of dollars to the big pharma companies, who then take and develop drugs like, I don't know, Lortab, Percocet, Tramadol, things like that. Stuff that makes you feel really good, man. Who then took and pushed it for 20 years for every little bump and bruise that people took and got and went to the emergency room with. Big Pharma took and pushed the doctors to push this stuff, and now we're seeing the fruit of the labors, especially once the U.S. government said, oh no, we can't have it no more, and decided to tighten. Because now that they can't take and find the stuff like the Lortabs and the Oxycontins and the Percocets, they're just taking and going to the next best thing, which is the actual stuff. Heroin. A lot of times fentanyl. So I'm kind of conflicted because I understand it's a humanitarian thing, but at the same point in time, you're using taxpayer money to encourage the use of drugs under medical supervision, who are paid for by taxpayer money. So basically, if these people are caught outside of these centers, caught using or shooting up, they are then taken and put in our for-pay or our for-profit prison systems, which already has the largest number of incarcerated humans in the entire world. So, yeah, the vicious cycle continues. But, you want to take and do something about it? How about, instead of sending people to prison for this kind of stuff, how about taking and rediverting the money that you take and put towards these for-profit prison centers and put them towards for-profit, I don't know, let's see, rehab centers that work as a prison, that work as a in a jail-like setting. They're not going anywhere. They'll be taken, still locked up. But instead of taking and going and being locked up with violent criminals, they'll be locked up in a rehab center where they have a chance to take and make it out and do something different. Now, I know this all is predicated on the fact of people only this only works on people who want to help themselves. I completely get that. But I mean, you got to pick your poison at some point in time. We've got for-profit prison centers where people are taken locked up for minor offenses, for nonviolent offenses, and things of that nature, where people that are rapists, or people that are breaking enterings and take and harm people by shooting them or cutting them and stuff like that. they're instead of being given harsher sentences, they're plead down and they're let out in 2 or 3 years. But the man that's been taken in, he definitely has a problem with drugs. He committed no violent offenses, and instead of taking him and pleading him down and putting him in one of these centers, no. We're going to take and send them, and we're going to put them in with these same violent people. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but if you're going to be a humanitarian about things, maybe you need to take a harder, closer look at the way you're operating things. So, it's just it's a sad state of affairs, but I don't think Mr. de Blasio is going about it this way, because all you're doing is basically promoting the use of heroin and just making it legal now. So you might as well just go ahead and do like other states have done with marijuana and legalize the use of heroin. That's what you're doing with those centers. Just saying. In other news, a U.S. District Court judge has ruled that Fusion GPS must answer questions from a Russian tech firm in the BuzzFeed defamation suit. See, BuzzFeed took and posted the Steele dossier story and attached the Russian firm's name to it. And they didn't take too kindly to that. They come over here to the U.S. and they've filed a defamation lawsuit. So now in the process of that, the only question is, what might the American citizen gain from this? Because to be honest with you, I'd love to take and know what exactly Fusion GPS has to say for themselves, because they must answer the questions of its efforts to verify the dossier, the decision to hire Christopher Steele, which is very interesting because it seems like that question should be pointed at the DNC and Hillary Clinton, since they were ones that bought it. Unless, of course, and again, it was all done with backing from BuzzFeed, which would be really, I mean, you're talking about politicizing our nation's press. BuzzFeed isn't exactly that trustworthy, but still, you get the point. A lot of people, though, they do assume that the person that actually leaked the dossier was not the Clintons or the DNC or anybody of that nature to BuzzFeed, but it was rather a John McCain assistant who was present whenever John McCain received the dossier on a trip to the UK. So Steele is being sued by the firm's top exec after he revealed in court findings in 2017 that he had not verified the final dossier memo before BuzzFeed published the document. So again, this is not something that the mainstream media is going to be. They're not going to be reporting on this all that much because it doesn't really back up or take and give more prudent more credence to their claims against Trump. So it's just interesting to take and see exactly how things have been going. So with that being said, I'm gonna take and unless anybody's got something they want to say. Cockroaches have ruined it for those. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Those that took and abused the system, they definitely took and ruined it for everybody else, because there are those who actually need the pain meds, but unfortunately they took advantage, and they found the quack doctors who would write prescriptions whenever, wherever, for however long and for massive amounts at one time over something like a bone bruise, or I cut my finger, it hurted, stuff of that nature. So but I'm gonna end it on that, and I hope everyone has a lovely evening, and I'll be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock tonight because I didn't have the kids. Right now it's going to be a 9 o'clock, 9:30 type thing because my kids aren't in school yet. So they're up normally till about 8:45, 9 o'clock. So a lot of times it's about 9:15, 9:30 when I start. So once school starts, this is going to be an 8:30 show, and it'll be from 8:30 until whenever I decide I've had enough talking, or y'all have had enough listening to me. Sound like a good idea to me. So everybody have a lovely evening.